morning, everybody. It's Jean here, Truelove Quilts for You. This is Jean's Block Party 2019. I don't know when you'll be seeing this, folks, so this is the bank holiday is coming up soon. Bank holiday, I think I'm in England. Memorial Day holiday is coming up soon, so I'm not quite sure when you're going to see this, so don't be asking me when. It's when it gets here. Block number 36. Real quick, I'll get to it. This is the block, and as I was making it, I thought, oh, I didn't really have a really contrast. Hopefully you can see. It's a star. It's a 9-patch with smaller units. We're going to smaller units now. I'm thinking, okay, you can do that. But it's a star, if you can see that. But my points, the fabric I chose, isn't real high contrast. You obviously want a high contrast, but because I'm working with black, whites and red and white, two colors, I wasn't really thinking about it, but I like it. So that's my little star block, 9-patch, but with quite a few units in it. Use my red and whites. So you need for this 3, if you choose 3 fabrics, because the center and the star bits can be a different fabric. Maybe even more of a solid for your spikes for your star. So that's block number 36. Again, we're just working with smaller bits. That's all this week. For my patron people who follow along, I put a video up. I have 2 winners for my, I've made the insulated curling iron holders, flat iron holders, completely quadruple insulated with silver fabric in here, so you can put your hot flat iron, turn it about. I made 2 of them. This is a larger one for either hot curling iron. So this is my patron people. I did this video for them, and I have 2 winners who are going to be getting these, and that's Frida Carroll, F-R-E-I-D-A, Carol, and Melissa Keichline, K-E-I-C-H-L-I-N-E. If you just message me with your address, and if you want them, these are yours. These are the ones that I made on my videos, my patron. So if you want to see some more exclusive videos that I'm putting up, go to my patronage page, which will be at the end here. It's a monetary tip that you're leaving me to make it easier for me to continue. YouTube isn't really paying a lot more these days, and I put a lot into my videos. But that's that. This is block number 36 of our block party. Again, maybe it'll be up on Sunday, maybe not. I'm not quite sure. Really busy with grandchildren, busy with, I'm making meals for them. There's our block. So I hope you enjoy it. Just have at it. Keep your orientation right. And yeah, it's another pretty block for our block party. Okay, folks, thanks a lot, and we will see you. Bye. So here we are at block number 36. Block number 36, which we all have seen is sort of a pretty star within a block. It's a 9-patch, but quite a few pieces to this block this week. I'll start straight away with our fabric A, which is our center block, and our background corner pieces, I should say, our corner pieces and our center square. And that is cutting 1 3.5-inch square, and then you're going to be cutting 2 3 7/8-inch square. Now, let me just get it. I was asked to show, excuse me, I should be more prepared. I was asked to show, really technically, on a piece of white paper here, the 7/8. I think I've done it before, but if you can see, we have markings 1, 2, 3, 4 on a ruler. Well, each one of these on this OmniGrip ruler, each one of these little hash marks here are 1/8 of an inch. So if we have 3 7/8, you count those little lines. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's the little line right before the 4.
which is 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch is a tiny little measurement. Tiny. So on a regular ruler, you have 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, and 4. That's what we normally know. But the 1/8 of an inch are the little marks. And so the 3 7/8 inch is what you wanted to find on your ruler, is the little line before the 4. Now we also have, that's fabric number A. Now we also have fabric C. I'll go to fabric C. We're cutting 4. This is the little star rays around our center star. We're cutting 4 2 3/8 inch. And again, 2 3/8 inch would be 1 2, and then you're finding the little hash, the little 1/8 inch mark. So you go 1 2 3, and it's the little line before 4 1/2. Because excuse me, before 2 1/2, because 2 1/2 is 2 4/8. So 2 3/8 is the little line right before the 1/2 inch mark on a ruler such as this, marked in 1/8 of an inch increments. So that is fabric C, which is our little starburst. You're wanting to cut 4 of them. Fabric B, which is sort of our background neutral, we are cutting 4 3 1/2 by 2 inch rectangles. You're cutting 2 3 7/8 inch squares, and you're cutting 1 4 1/4 inch square. Now we're going to be starting to sub-cut these. I'm going to put fabric A, B, and C away. And on fabric A, fabric C and B away. On fabric A, we're going to be taking our both of them are 3 7/8 inch squares. Our 3 7/8 inch squares. Let me see. Am I in the frame? And we're going to be, oops, watch my ruler. We're going to be cutting our 3 7/8 inch squares one time on the diagonal. So I'm lining my fabric up, my 3 7/8 inch squares on a line on my ruler, on my mat, and then with my ruler I'm putting it one thread inside to this side, so that my actual ruler, my actual cutter, cuts on the diagonal. Oh, I got my new awful cutter. It's pretty. From the quilt show. So now I'm going to open up my cutter, and I'm going to carefully slice that in half and make those 2 triangles. This is the 3 7/8 inch square. We're going to do that to both pieces. We're going to cut them on the diagonal once. And put them aside. Now fabric B, all of our background bits, we're going to be finding our 3 7/8 inch squares. We cut 2 of them, our 2 3 7/8 inch squares, and we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be cutting them once on the diagonal. Now our fabric C, which is our little tiny ones. Oops, I forgot. Please go back to fabric B. Fabric B, we're wanting to cut our 4 1/4 inch 2 times. 2 times on the diagonal. This is our fabric B. We're going to be cutting 2 times. We're going to be cutting it one this way, and then we're going to be positioning our ruler this way, keeping it still, not shifting our fabric, and cutting it and making 4 small triangles. Okay, so we're done now with fabric B. Now fabric C, what we're wanting to do is we're going to be cutting fabric C once on the diagonal, all 4 pieces. We've cut this 2 3/8 of an inch, and we're cutting these once on the diagonal. So easy block, but quite a few pieces to it. Again, to keep our organized. So now we have all of our subcuts, fabric A, fabric B, and fabric C, and I'm going to show us how to put it together now. Now, to save time, what I've done with my subcut fabrics, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to take a picture of this, and I've put my block on a design board. And as you can see, it's a 9 patch. All right, this is a simple 9 patch. But what I've done is I've taken, you can take a picture of this or pause the video, and this is on my design board. I'm making with the larger triangles 1, 2, 3, 4 half square triangles in the corner. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's using our larger triangle squares. We have 4 each. Now, I'm going to break this down, and we have this unit here. This is a 9 patch. Just remember, don't be frightened with all of these bits. We have the same exact unit going on all 4 sides, okay? So it's this unit here, which is consisting of 4 pieces. So there's our 9 patch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces to eventually put together. But now what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to create my units just as they are here. I'm going to create my half square triangle, and then this one is my flying geese. If you can see that. I'm going to go over and I'll show you how I make these units now, and then it's a matter of simply putting our 9 patch together, but with all of these subcut units, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Here's my design board in front of me, and I have all of my units, and as you know, this is how I like to do it. I like to do it visually, and I can then do one at a time. So right now, traditional method, I'm going to be making my half square triangles. This is on the bias, so remember to be very careful with this piece, but we've cut it perfectly. And then I'm going to put my presser foot down, and I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch along this long side, being careful just to place it, just to hold it, not to stretch it at all. And because I've cut it so well, I don't really even need to pin it. And then right off, I pinch and I pull, and then I open it up. And we always, because this is on the bias, very gently, very, very gently, just push that up to the side. Now, my second one is what's called a flying geese unit. So I'm taking my triangle, which has been placed to the middle smaller triangle, and then the little triangles, which we cut, okay? I'm going to be putting one right on the seam, and it's going to extend. This is going to extend about 1/4 inch, lining the top edge up, and I'm going to be stitching it right there, 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to go right off that little triangle section where it meets like that. Now this is one that you want to open this up and just finger press that. This is the traditional way to make a flying geese. Then we're going to position this triangle, the long side. Again, you're going to keep the top edge straight, scratch it together, and then having finger press that bit, you see how that hangs off 1/4 inch. That's what you want. So now with 1/4 inch seam, you're just going to be stitching along like that. And then right off. Where are my threads? And then we're going to be placing it, we're going to be opening it up, And then right there, you can see we have a lovely 1/4 inch line. Okay, we put that back, and then we see what we do. We take our background fabric here, and then we place that on top here, and it's the same size. Oh, this one's a little smaller. That one's a little smaller. Well, that's okay. We start at the very end. Oops. Having finger pressed, it's a little smaller. What did I do wrong? That should be okay. And then 1/4 inch along, right through so that you see those dog ears. I'm going to cut them off. And I'll cut these little dog ears off there, just to neaten it up. And then we have that unit there. I'm just going to continue, just finger press that. I'm going to continue on the top row here. Scratch them together. And it's just, again, simple 9 patch. You're not pulling anything. This is a bias edge. Be careful. Scratch that together. Quarter of an inch. Right off. Very simple, but again, press to the dark, finger press. Don't pull that, don't stretch it. Place it back down, and then I'll just continue all the way around my design board. Here's my flying geese unit. You want to keep this edge on top level, and then you want to start there, and then you're going to have a 1/4 inch hanging off. Now, finger press that over. Now there's my block with all my 9 patches all sewn together. So now what I'm going to do, what am I going to do? I'm going to go over, I'm going to carefully set these seams. I'm going to set these seams. I'm going to make sure everything's nice pressed. And then I will, they should all measure 3.5 inches, okay? But I'm just going to go over and I'm going to square them up so they're perfectly 3.5 inches square. But I'll show you when I get to that point. I'm over at my ironing board, and when I was saying I'm going to be setting the seams, as you know what I do, is even on these little blocks here. Let me get that in the frame. I'm just going to open that up just slightly, and as we know, just with the tip of the iron, just go in and try to nudge that seam across. And then I'm going to just gently, ever so gently, just roll that up and then roll the seam back. And iron that, press that really, really nice. I have a hot dry iron, as you know. I don't use any steam or any water. So here's my block, all ready to be squared up. Now, in a 9 patch, there's math sometimes. Sometimes in quote, of course there is. But in a 9-inch square, 9-inch finished squares, you know, our 9 patches need to measure exactly 3.5 inches. Now I've cut, these are all pieced, but this one isn't, and this is cut perfectly 3.5 inches. So now what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be trimming up our other 8 pieces, which should be pretty good, except maybe a dog ear or a trim or 2. That's pretty good. That's just the dog ear there. And again, what I'm doing is I have my smaller ruler, and I'm using the diagonal line, which is on a smaller ruler, to put against that diagonal half square triangle. And this one's pretty good. It's just a little tiny bit of a shred there, as you can see. Now that I've squared up all of my blocks and everything, I'm going to be just putting my 9-patch unit together. And I'm going to put this over here because my tripod's in the way. I'm going to pick up my units row by row on my sewing machine. And I want to just make sure that this center point here is pointing in. That's my little star bits. So I'm just going to put one edge over to the other. Scratch them together, 1/4 inch seam. Again, always being, you know me, being careful of my orientation. Pulling in front of me. This is my corner. This is my corner. I have to turn that around. As you see, I don't have to pin anything. These squares, these blocks are all, or the units are all perfectly 3 1/4 inches square. So my pieces are all lovely and my rows are all lovely and pressed. Set my seams. So ta-da, there's my block. A very subtle star. You can't see my points a lot. I could have made it a little bit more interesting, but up close, it's interesting. I think it's pretty, very pretty. So now I'm just going to trim my block up. You must excuse me, my batteries are going a little bit squiffy here. It's almost perfect, 9.5, almost 9.5. Just a little bit here. Just a little bit on the sides. Being aware of my 1/4 inch seams there. That one's pretty good. Just being aware just a little bit. And I have a lovely sort of a star in a square block. So yeah, my camera keeps glitching off. You must excuse it. So this is my last bit to square up. And there is my lovely perfect 9.5 inch block, 9-inch finished block with a little bit of star interest in it. Very subtle this week. Very simple, 9-patch block number 36. Perfect. Super. Love it, love it, love it. Just a few little bit more. We're working with a little bit smaller units this week. So yeah, hope you love it, folks. So we will see you next week for block number 37. All right, see you, bye.